Alright boys, let's do the way too early MVP convo. Few things. Number one, there's a sponsor in this video. Number two, I did some of these a few days ago, so if I'm talking about a game that happened like a week ago, there's your reason. Number three, the order of this does not matter at all, except for number one, which will be Jokic. And then also at the end of the vid, we'll talk about some more guys. So my preseason pick was Luka. We'll talk about him a bit. KD got hurt. I'll talk about him at the end. There'll be a bunch of guys then. But yeah, let's start with Jokic. This is an ironic time to do this vid because he just had perhaps his most normal human being game of the season against the Knicks, where he still put up 22, 7, and 7. But we all know that Jokic is once again breaking the calculators. The averages are currently a 30-point triple-double on 67 true shooting, and as it always is with Jokic, the lineup numbers say when he's on the court, the Nuggets are really good, and when he's not on the court, well, it's a different story. And as we all know, the uncertainty with Denver right now is the non-Jokic minutes and then Jamal Murray. And also whenever they get Gordon back. I mean, the OKC game they had recently where it feels like OKC's been willing to throw more doubles at him. And yes, I'm referencing a game that now happened 20 days ago, but Jokic didn't play 3 games in a row, and then they also didn't play for 5 days before that. I mean, it's Westbrook cuts, it's Christian Brown cuts, it's Hunter Tyson cuts. It's Jokic and MPJ having the sixth sense of knowing the exact moment that Caruso's going to bring the double so that MPJ relocates at that second for an open three. I mean, I've seen him score over smaller guys in the post like Jimmy or Kyrie. I've seen him score on Gafford in single coverage. I've seen him score on Bam, who's trying to front the post. Daniel Gafford is shading Jamal Murray a little too much on a screen action. Jokic takes that space and drives into it on the pocket pass, and from that point, you got nothing. Bam is playing more typical drop. Jokic basically turns in midair to throw it to Christian Brown because Hero's helping off of him a little too much. I should have mentioned Christian Brown in my players going to a different level video because he's just playing off of this so well. You get it. Jokic is amazing. We can move on. Again, the order after him does not really matter. I would like to talk about Giannis next. Things have gone a bit better for the Bucks lately. They've won 4 in a row. I was watching their game against the Rockets where in the last couple of minutes, Giannis pulled off a few really big defensive plays like guarding Fred in a 1v1 and then helping off of him after a drive to block a Şengün floater. He also had to help on a Şengün roll where they did get lucky off of a Dylan Brooks missed wide open 3, but if he didn't help, then Şengün would have scored most likely. Had another good defensive play on the ball. And then as far as the offense for Giannis, he did shoot 3 threes in his last one versus the Hornets, but in general, the threes have been way down, which is nice. And then also his mid-range has been cooking a bit. It's been especially cooking versus the Hornets, where Grant Williams was playing off of him and just daring him to take these elbow jumpers. Also, Grant Williams just saw the news on the ACL. That is tough. Good luck, Grant Williams. Giannis is currently shooting 47, 48% for a mid-range, and his form just looks better on those compared to the threes. So that's nice, but of course it's still Giannis. He's still going to be a freight train in transition, or whenever he and Dame get into the screen action, or he runs a little empty side DHO with kind of anybody between Andre Jackson, Taurean Prince, whoever. They'll clear a side for him and let him go to work in the post or on face-ups. I mean, it's Giannis. We all know how great he is. It was just a matter of if the Bucks could not spiral in the first couple weeks of the season, and okay, they've gotten things a little more under control. We'll see how the next few weeks for them go. Giannis is going to keep on being Giannis. So that's 32, 12, and 6, 62 true shooting, and the Bucks are getting closer to being just a middle-of-the-pack defense. Before we get to AD and a bunch of other guys, this video is sponsored by SeatGeek. The Celtics are playing the Pistons in about 8 days, and as I'm sure we all know, the Pistons have been in a lot of close games this season. It seems like right now every game they play in is competitive. So I would actually not be shocked if they gave the Celtics a decent game. Granted, you could get me to go to any NBA game between anybody, and so whether I want to go to that game or if I wanted to go to a different one, then I would use SeatGeek, and you can use my promo code FUNKY10 to get 10% off your next order at SeatGeek. And that is, of course, whether you are a new customer or not, and while I would see myself using it for an NBA game, as I imagine most of my audience would, and as I have in the past, you, of course, can use it for any sport, whether it's football, whether it's hockey. You can use it for concerts, music festivals, a whole bunch of things. SeatGeek rates deals on a scale of 1 to 10. Green means good, red means bad. No matter how many times you've used SeatGeek in the past, you can use my code, once again, FUNKY10 for 10% off your next order. And you can find the link in the description as well as the pinned comment. Now let's go to AD, who is putting up 30, 11, and 3 on 64 true shooting and doing everything he does on defense for the Lakers. So vibes went up from the last time I talked about the Lakers. D'Lo went to the bench. LeBron's gotten 1 million assists. Dalton Connect's been a flamethrower, and they're putting him in a lot of creative off-ball actions. So that was a nice 6-game run, but then Franz broke their heart in the fourth quarter, and yes, AD missed some free throws, and also they looked bad again versus the Nuggets. And yes, AD was not good in that game, but in general, he's been really good. And you look at the box score, the obvious things are the threes are going in, and there's more free throw attempts. Those are both very nice. I would like to talk about some of the sets that JJ and the Lakers offense are running to just get AD better looks. outside of your typical screen and roll actions or AD just scoring in the post, face up versus the opposing big, you get it. Well, I've seen Dalton Connect screening for him to get him cutting towards the rim to where he can seal off Brandon Ingram underneath the basket for an entry pass from, I think it was Austin Reeves. It might have been LeBron. And of course, putting Dalton Connect in screen actions also makes him more of a threat because of how good of a shooter he is. You have Max Christie screening for LeBron off the ball, which allows LeBron a little more daylight to flow into a LeBron AD DHO. From there, downhill, lob to AD, simple stuff. You got some inverted screens where D'Lo is screening for AD. You've got Austin Reeves setting a pin down for AD to where he can flow up into the LeBron pick and roll, but then Reeves also is the second screener, so then it becomes like a Spain pick and roll for just more bodies to allow AD to get more free going downhill. So that's all cool. As far as the free throws, I've looked at a bunch of his drawn fouls. It just feels like he's just playing more physical than ever, whether it's going for putbacks, rolling to the rim, etc. It doesn't feel like there's any thing unlocked there. It's just a few more free throws a game, which is still good. I watched the second half of that Spurs game. Good amount of switching, where he would end up on Stephon Castle, Chris Paul, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and then from there, he just held up really well, blocking Devin Vassell on a three, just locking up drives to the rim. One of the times he was in drop on the screen, he deflected a Wemby lob. I don't remember who it was from. It was probably Chris Paul. Just being the versatile rim protector and also guy who can do basically anything you ask him to do on defense. I know what the Lakers' defensive rating is right now, but AD is still going to be great on that side of the floor. I know, bad timing given the Nuggets game that just happened, but you get it. Now we go to SGA, top 5 at MVP voting the last 2 years. And once again, his between-the-legs dribble, in-and-out dribble, and spin move continue to be 3 of the best moves in the league, and he just makes it look so simple, the way he gets defenders off balance. And when he's not cooking in just simple ISOs, OKC, they'll have anybody screen for him, whether it's Lou Dort, whether it's Isaiah Joe, or Aaron Wiggins, or Dylan Jones for a little bit in one of these games. He was finally able to get some screens from iHeart in their last one against the Blazers, where he didn't shoot well from the field, but he did draw 14 free throws. And late in that game, it was just SGA drew fouls on 3 different iHeart screen action plays, one at half court where SGA goes around the back to get away from Chris Murray, and then iHeart also changes the angle of the screen at the same time, and so then Time Lord is up on the screen, but he's on the other side, so then it just becomes a race to the basket with Time Lord having to catch up to SGA. I think that was a 3-point play. One time Shaedon Sharpe just fouled him on a switch, and then another one where Time Lord high up on the screen allowed SGA to get downhill, and then it's just Banton waiting for him as the help guy at the rim. He draws a foul there, that type of stuff. Besides that, the other thing to notice is he is shooting more threes, and I'm pretty sure they are basically all off the dribble. And he's taking 5.5 threes a game right now. It kind of comes and goes depending on the game. Some games he might shoot like 7 or 8. Another game he might shoot like 2. He's at 36% right now. Yeah, go for it. Maybe I'm just dumb. Sometimes I want SGA to shoot more, even if all the numbers suggest he's doing more than enough for OKC. But I don't know. Like, they haven't had Chet recently. Speaking of scoring, J-Dub's doing it. J-Dub's doing everything. The J-Dub All-Star campaign might be here. Now let's go to my guy Tatum from the NBA champion Boston Celtics. So Tatum's jumper is clearly back. I mean, he's at like 37% at 11 threes a game right now. That being said, it is a bit of an adventure game to game. Like, everybody saw the Cleveland game, and that one play where Max Strus ended up basically on the baseline from him falling down where they didn't call a push-off. What do you want me to do? And then he went 0 for 10 from 3 versus the Wizards. And then the Celtics had that nail-biter versus the Wolves where Gobert's defense in the fourth quarter was really good, and they kept on putting him in actions, and I'm like, I don't know if this is the move, guys. Anyway, Naz Reid missed the 3, they won, hooray. And also Porzingis made his debut versus the Clippers, so that's nice. I would like to say nice things about Jayson Tatum's passing, as he is almost at 6 assists a game. I wouldn't say that it's one specific thing just going crazy, but more so just general improvement, waiting an extra second because he knows Cam Johnson's going to help out of the corner to get the skip to Jalen. In the Cleveland game, he had a number of good reads that were just off of simple drives, really, like knowing that if he goes to his left against Sam Merrill, it's going to engage Donovan Mitchell for just a second to where then he can make the kick to Jalen for the open 3, or, I mean, this one where he basically turns in midair to find Pritchard open for 3 after driving from the corner. I realize in the same video I'm talking about Jokic making any pass in the book, but like Tatum's almost at 6 assists, okay? Just let me have this. As always, I love when Tatum screens for one of the guards. And then as always with Tatum, a very good rebounder, good team defender, all that stuff. Anyway, that's cool. Jokic is the MVP as of right now. Okay, so guys who are on the border of the race. We will start with KD because he was in the convo and then he missed like 10 games and Phoenix lost a bunch and now they got to climb out of that hole and he and Beal are about to come back. I believe they're coming back tonight as I'm doing this video. Yeah, I mean, his clutch shot making was crazy, as the Suns were just kept on being in close games, and I said it before, I'll say it again, like when they would have him and Tyus Jones run this 2-man game that would result in KD getting the ball around the free throw line with a lot of space to operate, that's just good stuff, man. Of course, at this age, KD is not going to match somebody like a Jokic when it comes to assists and rebounds and stuff, so for him to make up for it, it's going to have to be insane efficiency. Well, he was at 67 true shooting through 9 games. That's a pretty big number. Although Jokic is also at that number because, good lord, Jokic is too good at basketball. Okay, next we're going to go to my preseason pick of Luka. Yeah, Luka's just got to be in peak shape, and he needs to be more efficient. And for what it's worth, in the last 5 games he played before he is now missing some time with a wrist injury, he was at like 59 true shooting in those 5 games, so it was already kind of getting there. It's all the normal Luka stuff. It's step back threes, it's fadeaways from 2, it's all the floaters and getting defenders on his back and the scoop shots and push shots and whatever. You just got to make them more efficiently. I am confident he will do that. Yes, Dallas has tried to take a little bit of workload off of Luka, like his usage rate is a little lower, his touches per game as well as how often he has the ball are also a little lower, again, a little. And that's all cool because his workload in the first 6 years was just outrageous. So perhaps that takes like a couple of points off the board for him, which does matter for this award, but also, I don't know, like again, he's just got to be more efficient. He's still going to put up big numbers. Kyrie has been great. I think Steph is deserving of a mention here. Like, I mean, the Warriors are a great team. And that's kind of the thing, right? Like, Steph is at 28 minutes a game right now, and therefore, like, the points per game is he's at like 22, 23 a game. On a per minute basis, he's normal Steph Curry. But when it comes to the MVP award, obviously the per game numbers are what's going to matter. And look, it's great for the Warriors that he can play 28 minutes per game, and, you know, they're like 3-0 in the games he hasn't played. These are all good things for preserving 36-year-old Steph Curry. But when it comes to the MVP award, yeah, it just kind of takes you out of the thing. And I don't think he, the team, or Warriors fans mind at all. LeBron, I love him, and on any given night, he can give you a reason to get off a bunch of GOAT James tweets, but the MVP is not going to happen, and that's okay. I feel like there was at least some internet wondering of if Anthony Edwards could really get into this convo, and so Ant is 23, and we are now seeing him clear the magic number of 60 true shooting. A lot of that because, again, his three-point shooting is just continuing to go crazy this year. And we all know on any given night he can look like one of the few best players in the league. But sometimes it just comes down to the numbers need to be bigger. And when Jokic and Giannis exist, 5 rebounds and 4 assists, I mean, Tatum clears those numbers, you know what I mean? So at that point, the case for Ant to get there with that production would be like, he'd have to be a shoo-in for all defense, and his efficiency would have to be even higher than it's already going this year. And I do still think he has the potential to be an all-defense guy. And then after that, I will just quickly name a bunch of guys who are having great seasons but are not really going to be in the convo, but whatever, just to make people feel good. Mitchell, Cat, Fox, Wemby, Franz, LaMelo's box score numbers continue to break my brain. And then Jaylen Brown and Derek White. The Derek White one is a joke, but also I love him. As far as Jaylen, he has gotten better. The shooting splits don't show it just yet, but trust me on this one. I'm just talking at this point. Anyway, the Kendrick album is really good.